Or that was out to Dexter Town Hall,
Yeah.
because basically since we're declaring traffic.
Our recording the meeting, we have Aaron Burgos from the Washington County Road Commission and Matt McDonald from the Washington County Road Commission. They're gonna give you a presentation, and then when they're done, we're gonna open up for Q&A.
All right, well, good morning. Again, my name is Matt McDonnell. I'm the managing director of the Road Commission. Happy to be here today and provide a little bit of information on our upcoming project that will certainly significantly impact the summer here in Dexter. We have had a couple of different meetings regarding the project. Usually we'll do it for big significant projects such as this where there's big change going on, try and do some community engagement well ahead of the project. We did host a design meeting. We do them twofold typically. One is kind of in the design process and then one right before we're ready to get started with construction. So we've had our design meeting. We did, because of the large project, big impact, we hosted a virtual meeting online, which was recorded, and then we also hosted an in-person meeting at the Dexter Library. So that took place last fall.
Yeah.
Aaron Burgos is our assistant director of engineering, so he's been working with his team on the design process, getting it ready for bid. This project is a significant one, and it is requiring multiple funding sources. So it's being bid through the state of Michigan because of the federal funds were involved. So next steps are really, we're gonna have that construction virtual public meeting.
Yes.
We've got a contractor that we've got through the MDOT bid process, sponsored, so we worked with them before. Haven't met with them for a pre-construction meeting. Really that, the way the projects work is ultimately we define the parameters, what when and what can be done and what we're asking them to build, and then they will put the resources and plan together on how they're going to attack the project. So we haven't had that meeting yet. We don't have a progress schedule, but we kind of know what we're going to do, and that's really what we're here this morning to kind of talk about. What I'd like to first talk about before I hand it over to Aaron Burkholz, if you're from the area, you know the viaduct, right? That viaduct, the historic structure, it is a bridge that was built by the railroad years ago. The history on that is pretty interesting. It's not going, the historic structure, we're not going to be able to do anything to it, so we know we've got to live with it. So, and the reality is, Main Street and Island Lake Road in through the city is going to be 2 lanes, 1 lane in each direction. We're not changing that either. So how do we best kind of move traffic efficiently, safely, kind of through town through the peak periods? Because we know there's issues with the AM and PM. I live in Dexter as well, so I know what we all go through during the peak period, and how challenging, particularly this intersection, can be that leads to kind of that high school and Dexter Chelsea Road. So we've got young drivers, kind of real limited sight lines. So one of the challenges with the viaduct is you have very limited sight lines, and then you also have narrow bridge. 2 cars can fit through, but if you get a big commercial vehicle, there's some drivers that aren't comfortable. So we really sign it as a 1-lane bridge, because if you get a bus or a big commercial vehicle like the lawn trailers and large trucks, it's nervy and it's narrow. So typically we're waiting. We kind of laugh. This is the best traffic calming situation in town. It really close traffic down. So given all of that, what solutions can we come up with to make things safer and to make it a little more efficient? And really what we did, we went after what's called congestion mitigation and air quality grant. So that's a grant that's competitive. We apply for it, and we weren't just looking at this intersection. I know the focus is a lot of times just this intersection, but we're looking at the corridor from basically Dexter Pinckney all the way through town. And what we did is we put together a plan whereby we're gonna build it in a roundabout. A lot of the money for the project invested in here, but we're also improving the Dexter Pinckney Island Lake intersection. One of the big things, well, I'll let Aaron get to it, but we're improving that one. We're also doing some signal work in the city of Dexter. So it was a cooperative grant where we took the lead. The city of Dexter offered their support to our grant application. In that, we also are going to look to connect with signals. Now, what does that mean? It means that we're going to be able to essentially set up timing that we can move traffic and platoon it through the city a little more efficiently. It's not going to be great during the peak periods. There's always going to be that there's going to be some congestion. One of the beauties of this solution, though, in here, it really does unravel itself. I liken it to Baker Road. Baker Road is where we have all that school traffic and pick up and drop off during those peak periods. It gets pretty congested and a little bit hairy, but those roundabouts work really well to move traffic safely. The speeds are a little lower, so which is really nice. So the safety is there. With that, I'll let Aaron Burkholz go into and explain some of the finer points, and I'll jump in if need be. And then really the format here is we'll kind of hit the highlights. Our website is up to date. So we've got a project page. It's got all this information on there available for you. You can go and watch our previous recorded virtual public meetings. It's got a lot of the slides and the presentation. And then you can sign up for updates so you can get up-to-date information, because we're going to put a lot of information out for project updates. And then also on our public engagement, I did want to mention the Road Commission does have a virtual chat every Wednesday at noon. If you're ever interested, myself and typically another commissioner are on there. You got questions, we want to hear from you. So it's another venue you can jump in if you ever have things that, hey, I just want to know how does this work, or road funding, or hey, I've got this issue here. We're happy to talk through that. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Aaron Burkholz.
Thank you, Matt. And Matt may slip up and refer to me as Burke, because that's what everybody at work calls me. My scouts, I've got a scout here today, Chase. They call me Mr. Burke. So anyway, yeah. So don't worry about that.
Master and civil engineer. Great.
And Chase is completing one of his requirements by attending the meeting today. He had to go to a public meeting, so that's pretty cool.
Nice.
But anyway, as Matt mentioned, so this project is being bid through the Michigan Department of Transportation, because any job that we have that involves federal aid funding has to go through MDOT. That bid was just this past March 6th. So March 6th was the bid opening. We had 3 bidders on the project. The low bidder, as Matt mentioned, was Fonson out of Brighton. We've worked with Fonson several times. They've built roundabouts for us. Probably the one that would be closest to the area that was fairly recent was at Miller and Wagner. So Fonson built a roundabout at Miller and Wagner. And their bid actually was pretty close to the engineer's estimate. It was 4.5% under the engineer's estimate. The bid was right around $3 million. So that's the cost of this project, is $3 million. Again, most people get focused on the roundabout. And in fact, even our internal staff, they started to refer to this entire project as DCIL, Dexter Chelsea Island Lake. And I'm like, stop calling it that. It's not just Dexter Chelsea Island Lake. So we came up with kind of a long, and I actually came up with it. It was, what we called it was the Dexter Main Street Island Lake Road Corridor.
You got it back.
Island Lake. And yeah. So it's hard to describe, because it's a corridor project. Certainly, like, the gemstone of it is the roundabout next to the A&W and next to the American Legion. people have voiced concerns, and understandably so, about the proximity of the roundabout to the viaduct. Because it's tough, because you can get two vehicles through the viaduct, you can get two pickup trucks through there, but you gotta be real thoughtful of where your side mirror is. Otherwise, you're gonna hit on the stone. So, I've driven my truck, I really like my pickup, and I'll go through when other pickups coming, but people get nervy, they stop, and they've brought up, well, if somebody's going through and they stop to let a vehicle come through, this is gonna jam up. And it will, it's gonna jam up, like during peak hours, like I'll say the PM, the afternoon peak, you've got all that traffic coming through Dexter. And people going out on Island Lake Road and coming up here towards like Dexter Township, going up towards Pinckney. This will jam up from time, but it flushes out really quick. And we've had experience with that. Matt mentions two roundabouts near Creekside Intermediate School on Baker Road. I've seen those jam up in the morning, but it only takes like, it's really quick. It's not even a minute, and then all of a sudden the traffic's flowing. So we're very confident that this configuration is going to work well. Plus, you've got that lane that goes left. So again, it's not holding up the people that are turning left. It's really only going to stop the people that are going through. It also, this was not a safety grant project. We do receive funding for safety enhancements. This was a congestion mitigation air quality grant. That being said, it is going to improve the safety of this intersection. Because in particular, I think of the school kids. I've had 3 kids go through Dexter schools. I've got a senior at Dexter right now, and I think about them driving in the morning and trying to come down Main Street and take the left on Dexter Chelsea. It's a little nervy. Like, I worry about them doing that because they're coming across the bridge, they stop, and you've got such a heavy flow of traffic coming through town in AM. I know that they take chances where they're like, there's enough room, I can cut across. That won't be a concern anymore because they have a lane to stay in. And the same with people coming down Dexter Chelsea Road, they have an assigned lane. So like right now, if you come down the hill past the American Legion, you stop. And again, you're trying to look around the car next to you to see if anybody's coming. And then at a point, you just get tired of waiting. You're like, I'm gonna pull out. They ought to be slowing down anyway because of the viaduct. So again, it is a safety enhancement, even though it's not safe.
Yeah, and Burke points out, you know, you have to look all the way through that viaduct to try and determine whether it's appropriate to go or not. With the roundabout, all you have to look is right here. That's the only focus you need to look at. You look left, find an appropriate gap, and go. So that to me is one of the distinct advantages when we're looking at how this new intersection is going to function, and particularly those that another real tough move is going from Dexter Chelsea to Island Lake westbound. That is a difficult move. I know that because I live in West, and that is a tough move, especially with young drivers. I too have high schoolers, one's a freshman learning to drive, and we don't do that. Like, that is a tough move for a new driver and any driver because the sight lines are so difficult. So now you will have the right of way once you get into the roundabout to make that move. So it will change the dynamic flow in traffic in and around Dexter. People raise concerns to me like, well, people are going to now take Shield Road to Parker to Dexter Chelsea, and I'm like, yeah, they probably will. And in fact, another grant project that just recently got almost completed, the lights on, the traffic signal at Shield and Parker. That was another carbon reduction, different funding source, but similar, whereby we were able to install signal. Really, that will help the flow, because I think traffic's like water. It takes the path of leisure. People will figure out once this is built, their new path on how to get it in and around the Dexter area. It'll be interesting.
And again, Matt brought it up before, it is a corridor project. So this is the intersection up the hill near Jenny's Farm Market, up Dexter, Pinckney, and Island Lake Road. And again, I was mentioning to a few of the folks earlier when they came up and we were talking that right now there is a unofficial right turn pocket there. Because technically it's only one lane, But you look at the shoulder and the shoulder is constantly torn up because people are like, hey, I'm not sitting behind traffic going straight through. I'm going right. I'm going up towards Pinckney. And so again, in that afternoon peak, that PM peak, they just basically command that shoulder and they're like, well, I'm just running the shoulder. We are going to basically pave the shoulder for them so that when they come up the hill, that'll be basically, it's going to be a free flow.
And it's a long white turn lane.
Yeah, it's a long, because we wanted to give plenty of stacking room there because it is such a heavy turning movement. And so what'll be there is there'll be a new signal and that signal will have a green arrow to the right. And basically that green arrow is going to be on most of the time. It would only turn red when somebody's coming the other direction on Island Lake, wants to turn left and go up Dexter Road. You know, we take traffic counts on an annual basis, and that's a fairly infrequent movement. Not a lot of people will come towards town and then turn left and go up Dexter Pinckney. But when they do, they'll have their own left turn pocket. They'll have a left arrow so that it's a protected left. And we are going to get rid of that little slip lane. You know, that's kind of a remnant of the past right next to Jenny's Farm Market, where if you take a right, you go into that slip lane, you have to stop and look and signals there. It's a bygone era. You just don't do that anymore. It's risky. So, so again, it'll be all new pavement here. There'll be a new signal, a new right turn pocket there, new left turn pocket there. Again, a big part of this is improving the function of the intersection. In order to complete these two projects, we are going to close both intersections at the same time. So I worked on the Main Street Bridge. That's been 19 years ago. Because the senior at Dexter High School that I mentioned, he was born when we were working on the bridge. So that's how I remember what years I worked on different projects. When was that kid born? So Dom was born, one of the fellow scouts with Chase. Dom was born the year that we built the Main Street Bridge right there. And so when we had our open house last year, and it was in person at the library, people would come up to me and I was assigned the boards, and I'll show them to you. It's for the detours. And they'd say, man, that's a long detour. This is going to be, you know, a real mess. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to be ugly. And they're like, wow, you're quite blunt about that. And I'm like, listen, when we built the bridge, I was the same way. I said, this is not going to be pleasant. This is going to be ugly, but we have to close it. Certainly the roundabout, there's no way to build that without closing the intersection. We did talk to our design firm and we said, can we somehow maintain one lane? Can we somehow, and really you can't, it not only calls into question the safety of the work site and the motorists that try to drive through it, but it also really affects the efficiency of building the roundabout. You just have to like tear off the Band-Aid. You have to close it, you have to get in there, you have to build it. It will be at the same time as the Pelham development. You know, that's going on right now. And so we've been in contact, the general contractor on it, their name is Bloom. We've been in contact with Bloom for quite a while now. We've talked to them about when do you expect to be done and start moving residents in. And so what they told us to this point is they don't expect to be moving anybody in while we're working on this project. That being said, our contractor, Fonson, is going to have to work with Bloom so that they can get construction and material onto their site. So another complication with this project. This is a challenging one. This is a tough job. When we built, and I'm reminiscing now, when we built the Main Street Bridge, we actually did try to maintain a traffic condition. The old bridge, for anybody that's lived here a long time, that old bridge, it was shot. Like the last weight limit on it was like 12 tons or something like that. It got questionable whether a school bus should really go across it or not. And so then we finally got federal aid funding through MDOT, and we said, okay, we can maintain 2 lanes on the bridge, on the old bridge. We'll just shift it all the way over towards the pond side. Well, we did that, and then one of the lanes on the bridge started to fail. It started to come apart, so we had to go to 1 lane, and it was outbound only. And so that, again, it was very tough. It was a very challenging project. We did get it done. But again, I'm just reminiscing.
Good news, we only do it every 20 years.
That's true. We don't come back very often. Yeah, and you know, the bridge, generally you build bridges on like a 75 to 100 year design plan. we're not gonna be back after this for
Well,
20 years. We'll have to resurface this,
and
but
you make mention, we're doing both projects separately. We found enough money in the budget to do in between the projects. And
Right.
Maybe you can cover that.
and I mentioned to a few of the folks earlier that we are gonna work from the end of the roundabout here through the viaduct up the hill to the end of that project up here. And we're gonna build concrete pavement through the viaduct, and then we'll do a mill and resurface with asphalt from that point up the hill. The reason we're doing the concrete pavement is its permanence, like concrete pavement, it just lasts longer.
We bought some money back.
No, we're not coming back. No, we're not. I'm not coming back. I built the bridge and talked me into a roundabout. Like I'm done. When we built the bridge, I actually kept it under my hat that I even lived in Dexter. I don't live in town anymore, but I did at the time. I wouldn't say anything. We had these meetings with the village council, and finally, one of the guys on council said, "Do I see you in town or something? Like, do you live here?" And I'm like, "Yes, I live in town." But I was
That
afraid.
forced them to move out of town.
No, it didn't. I was afraid that if I admitted it and the bridge didn't go well, that I'd have to leave town. But the bridge went fine, so, yes, sir.
Two questions. One
Yeah.
is the water that comes off of Gordon Hill Field,
Mhm.
which drops down
Oh,
from the
yeah.
tunnel.
Oh, yeah, you're very astute.
Yeah,
It drops, it just pours in there.
Oh, yeah.
And that water system, how is that gonna be taken care of? Number two
yes.
is, well, how did the people from this new construction enter that roundabout?
Sure. So the first question I'll answer, and again, very observant, up the hill, and it's not on this map, and it's really not on this other one either. It's like right in here somewhere, you'll see there's like a bunch of rocks on the slope. And what happens is, it's almost like a spillway. And when that field, especially when you get a big rain or you get the snow melt, the water just comes off that field right to that corner, like right up here, and it just dumps down the hill and into the viaduct, and it runs down. And right now, I'll say there's a couple of inlets here. There's one on each side. We call them beehive inlets because they've got that dome shape. They're from, like, if you get a bunch of leaves, if you get like plastic shopping bag, if you get ice, it'll plug it up.
Yeah.
And the viaduct basically goes on the water, because that's the low spot. Viaduct is the low spot. So what we're gonna do is we're going to replace those two inlet structures. We're gonna place another inlet structure over here, and we're going to put curb and gutter along there, basically to catch that runoff and put it into those new drainage structures. And then the existing storm pipe that's in there that connects those, we're gonna put a liner. So they have basically a modern method of lining pipes, and they're gonna line that so that basically we ensure that the storm sewer can function.
Yeah,
So-
and then it will connect to the storm sewer system that we're building on. But
Yeah.
excellent question.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
then-
the second one.
Yeah, the entrance to the Pelham basically is right there. And so basically what will happen is, as the residents wanna come in and out, they'll basically go from the roundabout right into their residential home, and then they'll come back out, and they'll come right back out into the round.
They-
It's there.
Boy, I don't remember off the top of my head, really don't
I
recall.
wanna say it's under 100.
Yeah, because it's a 3-story, I think.
Yeah, it's 3 stories.
Yeah.
There's 2 buildings.
Right.
We looked at it, the volume of traffic, I mean, it's
they-
gonna generate some traffic, but the roundabout should be able to it will handle that volume, because the volume on the road is far exceeding what they're gonna have. So
They have
it's,
to cross 2 lanes to get.
Yeah, they'd have to like come across here, if they were gonna go straight through or go back into town,
yeah,
they would come out, have to go across. And then
That-
turn on that.
that to me is, they just have to yield to those 2 lanes, essentially. So they have to be a little more careful, they have to yield to both of those lanes. But then getting into their, residential area, it'll be real simple. It's a lot like, if you look at the Baker intersection at Shield, there's a private development, it'll be similar.
So related to that, what about Westbridge, especially since you live
So it won't change, it will be tougher,
I don't live there, I feel for you guys.
so it will definitely be tougher because there won't be as many gaps. Well, that traffic's gonna be spinning through there, but in Westridge, there's 3 exits on the road. You know, like, if
'Cause
you
they
don't
got-
like that exit, well, that's your opinion.
Well, I think a lot of people cut through this in the morning, so many people cut through
Oh,
from Dexter TP.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean,
They come
that's
out this way,
certainly,
go this way.
yeah, but there's this exit here, now this is a little close to the intersection, but there's another entrance further up. And if my freshman who's 15, that's where we go in and out. Right, I tell, until he gets confident and depending on the time of day, sometimes the time of day it's easy to get out. But you just gotta have to, you live there, you know that long enough. And yes, people are gonna get a little ornery about change. We all do, right? We don't like change. But in the actuality is, there's options. And so it will be different. And hopefully it'll, overall, every project that's kind of winners and losers, right? You're not gonna solve and everyone's gonna be happy and we've got all the problems are solved. You're trying to balance the various priorities. One of the biggest priorities is safely moving traffic through town. And then there's gonna be other effects that, you know, it will be a little tougher to use this entrance. But careful.
And the other question is that lane that is on Island Lake Road above the light. That lane, and how close is that to the exit out of the Cedar?
The Cedars here.
No.
Oh, this one, it's a long way, yeah. So there's when this got built, I know, cause I was in the permits.
Yeah, you're working permits. Yeah.
So in order to build this, they had to improve the sight line. So they actually, and they did the minimum that was acceptable, right? Cause they're a developer, right?
Yeah.
So they don't wanna spend a lot of money. So they improved the sightline, they lowered this hill. And they put curb and gutter to improve the sightlines, and then, so that you could see, but it's significantly there. Then, this was deemed an emergency, right?
Yeah.
For the circumstance, so, right now, that's quite a ways away, so we're not gonna impact those limits for that project.
This plan does, being in a Cedars, this plan does not change anything on the entrance and exit out of Gordon Hall.
No, correct.
No, we do.
You have an entrance there still.
For non-motorized, for walkers, we will be putting a crosswalk in here. There's one there right now.
Right.
It's gonna be in a different location, and so we'll be moving that again. It's a safe crossing because there's gonna be a signal there, and there will be pedestrian signals there too. So that should enhance the safety from.
Closer to the light.
Yeah.
Cause you wanna get it a little more in line with where
Right.
you want it in front of the stop.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and of course, you being thoughtful about the connection between the Cedars, as far as like people that might be walking or riding a bike, going from there, going through
Yeah.
Westridge and then over to the border. So there should be a good connection. So, yep.
The only question we had, that I will carry is, during that time of the construction, there's no way that we can have walkers going into town.
That's true. Yeah, and that's a good point.
Just,
They would have to cross through the construction zone, and that would be a bad.
We say it's advisable and it's closed, but people.
Yeah.
well.
Actually, in my experience, pedestrians are harder to control.
And we also, there's the curiosity factor, right? Like,
Yeah.
we call sidewalk superintendent. They don't wanna come over, they wanna see what's going on. I think there's even a progressive commercial with like, hey, what's going on over here? You know? So it's gonna happen. We just ask that people be, you know, be cautious. Yes. Be cautious.
So the closures I mentioned, we're gonna have the one at the A&W at the American Legion right here, right next to the bridge. Then you're gonna have the one up near Jenny's Farm Stand up at Dexter, Pinckney and Island Lake. And so with those two closures being concurrent and both intersections being closed, if you're coming from the south, like coming from Chelsea towards Dexter, what you're gonna do is you're gonna come up, and you're gonna take Parker to Shield to Baker. It's not so bad. It's a little bit out of the way. You can't come straight into town, but it's not too bad. The really bad one is the one that coming from the other end.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, and so when we close a intersection that has a paved primary road, we keep the detour, the signed detour on paved primary roads. Well, out here, there aren't a lot of paved primary roads, and so the next nearest paved primary is Dexter Town Hall. So you would have to go basically, if you're at the Cedars down here, and you don't want to drive on an unpaved road, you have to drive Island Lake out to Dexter Town Hall, up to North Territorial, down Mass and back into town. It's a long ways. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, well, everybody will follow that detour. That's just not true. The reality is people are going to use the unpaved roads. And in particular, and it's understandable, the residents on Wiley, south of Island Lake are very concerned. And I understand why, because there's already a lot of traffic on that part of Wiley Road. I mean, for an unpaved road, that's not a lot of traffic on it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be even more traffic. And so what we do, and again, this comes up frequently, we have a lot of unpaved roads here in Washington County. We are blessed with like 800 miles of unpaved roads. What a burden. I don't know how we ended up with that many unpaved roads here. That decision was made well before my.
But I will say, people love the gravel. You talk about paving them.
It is one.
Better watch out.
Yeah, you actually get
The pitchforks will start coming.
You get the people that say, I want the road paved, but then you'll have twice as many say, don't we pave that road, leave it the way it is.
Yeah.
So when we do run into this, and it's not just this project, it comes up frequently where we'll close an intersection, we'll close a bridge. We basically work with our operations department and we say, all right, you're going to have to charge additional straightenings and additional dust control to our project. So when we set up the road commission budget for a project like this, it includes additional straightenings, additional application of dust control. And our district foreman for this area is named Scott, he's out of Chelsea. Scott knows that when we close this, he and his crew are going to have to be spending more time straightening Wiley Road. I'll say both north and south by the Lake Road. That whole stretch is going to get a lot busier. For Matt and his neighbors coming out of Westridge, basically what they're gonna do is they're gonna come out and they're gonna go up Dexter Pink. When they get to Wiley there, they got a decision. They're gonna be like, all right, do I really want to go all the way south again, or should I just continue up Dexter Pink and come around? So.
Yes, I will, be trying to avoid this, to try and, maintain it, 'cause the reality is, I think there's probably over 1,000 cars a day on Wiley Road right now. That is very difficult to maintain a gravel road with 1,000 cars going, because what happens is you get one little surface defect, and by the end of the day, it's grown, or it's just washboard. So it's tough, and even though we're gonna do additional, maintenance, the reality is, we have 2 graders that they have we have 12 graders now. We start dividing up all of our districts for our 800-900 miles of gravel road. When you're grading a gravel road, you're going how fast? Well, you start doing the math of what it takes,
4 miles an hour.
what it takes to do all of our gravels and reset them for after the spring thaw. We're gonna start that process because we're drying out. We're gonna reset those gravel roads and then do dust control. And you've got 2 graders working their way through. In this area, you've got 4 townships that you're dealing with. And there's a lot of activity, more so than just this project going on throughout the county. So just be patient. We were very well aware. That's why we signed the paved roads. But we fully expect there's gonna be more traffic on gravel road. The other one, I will point out, another way around, you can take your River Drive. It's a little slower, but when you get to here, it's gonna stack. There's no signal. The reason why we picked Mass is you can safely make that turn without, it's a signalized intersection. So be cautious. If you take your River Drive, pick the right time of day. If you pick the wrong time of day, you're gonna spend your time waiting and then get frustrated and go, man, I should have gone Mass. So,
And we do, and Matt brings up that intersection at Huron River Drive and North Territorial, it's on our mind. So basically,
Yeah.
one of the things that determines when we upgrade an intersection is we look at things like the number of crashes over a 3-year period. We look at delay, like how long is the traffic waiting? So we do continue to monitor that intersection. It hasn't yet met warrants, but basically the warrants, you can envision them, they're like check boxes. Like, okay, if you get this number of check boxes, get a check, okay, now we have to find the funding to make an upgrade. Typically, you'll go from a 2-way stop control like it is right now to a 4-way stop control. Then you go to a blinker, and then you go to a signal. So there's like a progression.
a good example of like Deep Road in Huron River Drive years ago, used to be 2-way.
Yeah.
A lot of traffic on Deep Road going northbound. There's not a lot of great routes to go north. And then that ended up moving to a 4-way stop.
Yeah.
So over time, it will likely trigger that.
Can you do a temporary light at Huron River Drive? I mean, that's.
That question does come up, but then temporary is never, the taking it away, is
Temporary,
challenge, right?
Yeah.
That would be okay with me.
Yeah. Well, the worst thing you can do is put a signal out where it's on. Because then disregard some of that traffic control. So then there's another one where you put stop signs out there are essentially unwarranted. People just, there's never any traffic, I'm just going to go. And not adhere to the traffic control. The one time that they go and aren't cautious is when, bad things really happen.
Not that it's direct, doesn't relate directly, but it's like driving through the Myers parking lot down there on Jackson Road.
Yeah.
How many stop signs do they have there? I have stop signs. There's nobody sitting there. I'm like, why did I stop?
Oh, it's not the other morning.
Yeah,
I'm
it's not stopping. Hey, who's gonna pull me over? What, the Meyer police? I'm like, I'm not stopping. And so Chase, don't drive like I always stop when there's a stop sign. So.
My middle son tells my younger son, if it's got a white border, it's optional.
Stop.
They all have white.
So again, it's gonna be a challenge, it's gonna be tough. Right now, again, we had MDOT open the bids on March 6th. Fonson was the as read low bidder. Now MDOT goes through a process of awarding the contract to Fonson. And then once that's in hand, we'll have a pre-construction. So I would imagine a pre-construction meeting here would probably be in another 2 weeks, maybe. We'll have a pre-construction meeting, so first part of April. So will be that pre-construction meeting. The contract that was bid stipulated, the contractor can't start any earlier than May 4th. So the 4th is as early as they can start. We did that because we wanted like more of a date certain on the front end. And then we told them, okay, you can't start any earlier than May 4th. If you don't want to start on May 4th, that's fine. But you have to be done by this date. And the reason I've been looking at my phone, I texted my project manager, Evan, and I'm like, what is the date there? I don't remember, it's late August, I think it's August 28th maybe, but basically we give them a date when it has to be open to traffic. Now, that date can be changed if they have an extension of time request that's valid. So what a contractor will do, if they get a week's worth of rain, they'll put together a request to us, and then it has to go from us to MDOT, and they'll say, listen, this week in July, it rained the whole week. I couldn't do the work that I expected to do. You owe me a week. So then you start to get creep on the end of the job where it doesn't get done on time. It's a week or two later.
I cautioned early in my career, I was very put dates in front of people.
Yeah.
Don't remember any of the dates, please. What happens is we'll get in and inevitably when you take on a big job, you start digging, you find a surprise. And then you've got to react to that and do a change. That change is a change in the scope of work. And every contractor that's worked their solve is going to go, I need more time. Yeah. And every change you make, they're gonna say, that's 3 days, that's a week, that's 2 days. So that allows them contractually more time to complete the work. So that's why I'm very cautious, given weather, given a large construction project, there's inevitably going to be be change and surprises that we didn't anticipate. We did a lot of homework on this. We did a lot of utility coordination. There's a lot on the ground over the years. And ultimately, there's always going to be a surprise. So I just say that. The other thing that's going on that we're not in charge of, but just awareness, the city wisely, while we're working on this and closing this, they're gonna be repaving Main Street. I don't have the details on that. I don't know that that's gonna happen. It's definitely more, straightforward. It's just a mill and fill, various depths. But what they're trying to do while we're having all closed, is be able to work on the downtown. So I'm guessing not to impact businesses a separate year.
Yeah, because that would be a shame for us to close this. We do this work and then like the next year, the city says, oh, we're gonna resurface downtown now. The city, we've had very good communication with them. Theirs is also a federal project, so it'll be bid through the Michigan DOT. And it'll go from the end of the bridge through downtown and over to Baker Road. So it's gonna go all the way through downtown, past the hardware store, past the DQ, all the way down to Baker. So, yeah. And I'm trying to think what else, the other part of it, and we haven't touched too much on it, Matt mentioned it, is part of our project, this bigger project, again, it was collaborative with the city, is us working on multiple traffic signals. So like, the signal at Baker and Main is gonna be upgraded, the signal,
The equipment, just the equipment.
Yeah.
By and large.
well, we're putting a new mast arm in.
That's true.
We are putting a new mast.
The look is.
Yeah, so we'll have, the signal at Baker, we'll have the signal there at Mill Creek Middle School, and we'll have the signal at Dan Hoy Road, at the far east end of town, I'll call
It's essentially sort of coordinate.
it. Yeah.
Once this roundhouse completed, how will it work with the fire station?
Good question. Yep, so, one of the parties that'll be invited to the pre-construction meeting will be the fire chief. We'll also be inviting Bloom, the company that's the general contractor here, but we did talk to the fire department, and they were very clear that right now, under the current configuration, with the fire truck being that box shape, the only way they get through the viaduct is they have to drive right down the middle so that they don't catch the corners of the fire truck. And so basically what they'll be able to do is come through and then they'll ride up on this, we call this a splitter island. They'll ride up on that splitter island so that they can square themselves up with the viaduct. And then
Mountable.
through.
A lot of these
Yeah.
are all mountable, so the curves are not high back curves, so you can get onto it, especially with the trucks, you've got privilege drilling over here. So the turning movements do account for, traffic.
Yes.
In all of this, was there any talk about, so I know if you're, if Island Lake and Dexter Pinckney Road, if you're taking out the center, so the other one was behind you on the. So, is there any talk about putting signals for large trucks to signal you can't go through?
Well, you brought that up, so we do, are incorporating signal detection system. Because, yeah, there's signs everywhere, right? Like-
They don't need them.
Yeah, exactly.
You can tell.
Yes, I'm well aware, as I try and go into town, I'm like, oh, man, again. So one of the beauties of a roundabout here is we're gonna have some, poles that are mounted, and essentially they'll be pulled on either side, a laser beam, think of it like a garage door, right? Like when you go, it trips the garage door so that it doesn't go down on the car. Well, this trips if you are breaking that laser. It will trip and you'll have flashing sound. Well, whether that will get their attention, I don't know, but we're gonna try, right? So we're doing something different. It's gonna be on both sides, but the beauty of this is they have a way to go somewhere. Or go back around, you can go back the other way, so like, the other way, it's gonna go through west.
Yeah, because the other way, there's no turning around, like basically, there would still be that laser and there would be signs to catch their attention. But then they're gonna stop and they're gonna go, all right, I gotta either go through West Ridge or back, like back up.
Or they hit the Y.
I think,
And for, is there any way to tell the trucks that might go to West Ridge? I've actually told us on my, as he's sitting at West Ridge, you can go through. Because he's sitting at it, realize it gets down there and they're trying to back up. I was like, just go through West Ridge.
Yeah, just go on the neighborhood.
both of them. in my experience in living where I do, it's the people that drive the truck.
Yeah, it's like U-Haul box trucks.
Yeah.
Usually it's a box
They're
truck.
not
or
experienced
something.
drivers.
Yeah, it's not like, you never see like a semi 18
That's what I
wheeler.
told him, it was
Yeah.
19 wheeler, I was like, please.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it's not.
So
Just-
yeah.
if you got a professional driver, they're gonna look, yeah,
Yeah.
most time, but a lot of time, it's those ones that rent the Penske or the whatever, U-Haul, so. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, we thought about, there'll still be the advanced sign, there is advanced sign. You drive by it all the time, you probably don't look at it. But the advanced sign with the laser, I think is intended to be on like after the intersection. So that they could turn around in what?
One thing. Certainly, there might still be some questions about this, but before I forget, I do want to mention, I brought some maps. And it says 2026 Road and Bridge Improvement Project. So they're back there on the table. You're welcome to take one. This is subject to change. The most current map is actually on our website. This map it says printed November 2025. As I was wrapping up my workday yesterday, I was like, oh, I should take some of those maps. And I looked in my folder and the most current one I had was November
It's
25.
changed.
So I threw it on
Yeah.
the printer and I was like, I'll copy a bunch, but it is subject to change. This is on our website. And it's interactive. So if you're on the website and you like hover over a road segment, click on it, and then it will take you to the project page and you'll know like who at the road commission should you call. So you don't have to just call the general number 761-1500. You can actually have the number for the person that's assigned to that project. So when you call them, they know what they're talking.
And all of our projects, it's kind of subscription based. You can sign up and get email updates on that project. You can sign up for Dexter Township. You can sign up for a variety of different things. Get as much information you want. But the WCRoads.org or just Google Washington County Road Commission, you'll find us. Go to the current projects and it has all that. While we're on the topic projects, we'll be back in 28 or 27. Sorry. So another one that I'll make mention is Mass Road, Joy Road, and Fairhaven Drive. That's another big roundabout project. We got funding for. We'll have a design meeting this fall, so to speak. And ultimately, that's another big one coming.
We'll be
That-
asking you to come back.
That's fine. Not a problem.
Yeah, I had it on my
Yeah,
radar.
so that one, just so, hey, they didn't mention this, yes, that one is going to be a big one, a challenging intersection. We've been looking for funding for years, good news is we got some, and it'll be a really nice improvement. We can't do it at the same time, obviously, but that one will be not this summer, next summer.
Yeah, and that one, again, we're still going through that design process. You know, there had been this concept plan for anybody that's been here for a while. There was this concept plan that floated around that we just build one big round. That's not what's gonna be there. It's actually gonna be like two roundabouts. So there'll be a south one where Huron River Drive comes out to Mass right next to the bridge, right next to the cider mill. And there'll be a roundabout there, and then there'll be another roundabout up the hill further. That would be for Joy, Mass, Huron River Drive. It's a neat project. It's an interesting design. You know, we were thoughtful about things like, there's a lot of bicyclists that come down Huron River Drive and come into town. And even though the border trail is there, the serious bicyclists won't use the border trail. They want to turn on River Drive so they can get up to speed. So we, you know, even talked to like Ann Arbor Bicycle Touring Society and said, what do you think about this design? And they said, yeah, we think that's a good idea, getting, you know, our members in and out of Dexter. So,
in the
yeah.
southern roundabout, which accesses the Huron River Drive that goes to the east, there's no truck traffic, so that one's actually roundabout smaller footprint and then larger to the north, so it's almost like a senior and junior.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But more to come on that. Just
Yeah.
wanted to give you a teaser.
Yeah.
That's 2028.
Sorry.
Yep, so-
I got both.
yeah.
So next summer.
Is that gonna affect the party scale?
It
Yes.
will set it apart.
Yeah.
So, yes.
That's
Yeah, yep, so there's always impact.
quick question, all the people that use the trail under the bridge, when they come up and come into Dexter, are they going to have a way to come up through that little park, kind of like behind the fire station. Are they gonna have a way to get into Dexter? on
They
the
should.
bikes?
Yeah, because, yeah, the trail would be, yeah, you're talking about like, it comes underneath.
So there's two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
they
it's
come
not
from
like that
West
kind of
Ridge, yeah, it wanted, yeah, because our project's over here next to the Pelham development. And so, yeah, we want to be impacting like over near the fire station.
Dexter, when they redo their road right there.
When they
Yeah,
bring
and
it.
their road won't impact the sidewalk. Their road just literally, that hot mix asphalt,
Oh,
really just touching,
they're not.
peeling off the top layer and putting it back.
They will have to change some of the pedestrian.
ADA ramps.
Yeah, we talk about like American Disabilities Act, the ADA compliance. When you get up to that intersection, at Broad Street, right there at Broad Street, Maine, that's all that brickwork and stuff, that's not ADA. And so they're gonna have to change a lot of that, so that could affect like pedestrian movements at the intersection, but yeah,
That's true.
some of the other area projects I'll mention, for this year, so we're gonna do, Hankard Road from North Territorial up to the county line. And that's kind of a unique project because there's not a lot of pavement on Hankard Road. So before we go out and mill an asphalt surface out, we go out, we use a machine, and we take a core sample of the asphalt, just to confirm. Because if you only have 3 inches of asphalt on the road and you mill 2 inches off, there's only an inch left. As we pave the road, the loads of the trucks will tear that up. So we did that on Hankard, and basically there's not a lot of pavement on Hankard. And so we're actually gonna have our crew put a seal coat down, so a chip and seal will go down, and then we're gonna pave on top of that. So it's called a Texas under seal. We've done it on the roads, but it's a way to improve the road without having to mill off that surface. We do not want to take that existing asphalt out there.
We're building a structure without taking any.
Right.
Do you have a timeline?
I don't, Karen, no, I'll get back to you. Oh, you live all that, all right, I will let you know when we're gonna work on the acre. So, yeah,
Intersection.
it will not, no, we won't get into the intersection, it will be from just north of the intersection going north. So, and then, we're gonna come back and yeah, right up the road here, we just paved last year this piece of Dexter Pinckney Road. So we're gonna, chip seal from here at the intersection at North Territorial all the way to the county line. And we're gonna do Dexter Pinckney Road and we're gonna do McGregor. So all that will get chip seal. Some people aren't a big fan of chip seal. They're like, hey, that pavement was nice when we came back and chip sealed it. The advantage and the reason that we chip seal is we compare it to putting on sunscreen. Like the reason you put on sunscreen is so you don't get burned in the sun. Asphalt will oxidize. So asphalt is a petroleum product. If it lays exposed to the sun, it oxidizes. That's why when asphalt is brand new, it's nice and black, just like in that picture. But over time, it kind of gets to gray where it's like, wow. Well, that's because basically the petroleum content, what glues that material together, the sun is oxidized. So by putting chip seal on it, it protects that asphalt. Asphalt's very expensive. Asphalt, we pay around, I'll say between $90 and $100 a ton for asphalt. A ton of asphalt does not go very far. And so we use thousands and thousands of tons of asphalt. And so we want to protect that investment by going back and chip sealing the road. The other advantage is it seals the surface, and if there are any fine cracks in it, it seals those cracks and keeps the water out. So again, our crew, the road commission crew, does our chip seal program. They'll be coming out sometime this summer to do that.
Yeah, it's a great, basically it's asset management. We would like to extend the service life of that investment. We're paving a 2-lane county road, just the top layer of asphalt, it's probably $250,000 a mile. It's expensive. And that seal coat is well worth its cost because it really protects that investment. Because that binder, when it get oxidized, it gets brittle and those cracks come soon. So if we can keep the binder flexible so that Mother Nature during this time, the spring thaw, It gives a little more flex and the cracks don't come in as soon. We're really managing that aspect. So it's the name of the game for us is extending the service time as far as.
When you do that, how long does it take? Like a week?
Oh, yeah, it's,
Right.
so the crew will come through and they'll do the chips first. So they'll do the chips, that stretch of road will do all of Dexter painting, from North Territorial all the way up to the county line, and then that little spur of gravel that comes off. That'll probably take them a week to do that, and then they'll be gone for a while, and then they'll come back and put a fog seal on top of it. And then once they fog it, then we come back and put the permanent pavement on. It's basically like their center line markings, your edge lines, those go in on top of the fog seal. So the fog doesn't take very long. I would guess to fog that, maybe it's a day or two. But the chip seal, putting the chips down is probably. Yep, and they'll maintain traffic during that time. It's just, you have to wait. It's kind of dusty usually because there is dust in the chips. So if your car's clean, it's not gonna be clean once you drive by the chips. And then you do have to keep your speeds down. And we do post, like you'll see the orange and black signs that say like 35 miles an hour. That's because if you drive too fast, you're throwing up chips and it won't so much affect you as the person behind you because they're gonna end up with a chip windshield. So, yeah. The other project is a little further south, it's not in Dexter Township, it's fairly close, is Dexter Chelsea Road. So we are gonna be resurfacing Dexter Chelsea Road from, I'll say approximately Freer Road at the city limits, going east to Dancer Road. So that's supposed to happen in May. We already had the pre-construction meeting with the contractor. Again, that's a fairly straightforward project. It's just milling off 2 inches of the road, replacing that with 2 inches of new asphalt, putting new pavement markings down. So a pretty straightforward project that would happen in May. Once we complete that piece from Freer Road down to Dancer Road, then shortly thereafter, the road commission crew will come out and they're gonna chip seal all the way from Freer Road all the way to Park Road. So the whole thing. So, again, fairly close, not too far from that.
Now, are these gonna overlap? So now Island Lake is closed.
Yes,
How do
they
you get out?
will overlap. Now, we will,
So, it's those projects that Aaron Burkles mentioned will all be.
yeah,
So it will be flag controlled on our flag control, so there will be a delay, and if you wanna know when it's happening, sign up for our list. We put out a weekly schedule, so as much as we know, we put out there, so that weekly schedule is gonna be vital to pay attention to, because it lists all the roads that we're gonna work on for the week ahead, and what the scope of work is, what is it, a closure, is it a, flagging operation, so that you know in advance of going out there.
Do you know if the border to border trail is gonna finish also kind of at the same time coming from Dexter Chelsea into Dexter, since the road's already gonna be shut down?
I don't believe so. No, I don't think so.
There's some challenging pieces left, there's some property owners that haven't been as cooperative, so that they've got to do some right of way acquisitions for some of the pieces and segments that aren't the gap is. I think the next piece is the one taking it from basically Parker to into town and putting that old truss bridge across the Mill Creek. That's a big piece. That's being done and administered by county parks. We generally work pretty close with them, but that I don't have details on that.
I mean, it's that project happening at the same time, it's essentially.
Yeah, it would be nice, but the reality is that a lot of the timing, funding and or right of way acquisition, you gotta get a lot of easements for those type of projects, and it's a slow road.
The Bell Road Bridge. I got stories about that one too. I can tell stories about the Bell Road Bridge. Yeah, Bell Road Bridge is cool. The Bell Road Bridge is the most historically accurate bridge from Washtenaw County that's left. Because honestly, being a bridge guy, if you go look at East Delhi, or you go look at the Maple Road Bridge near Barton Hills, the old Foster Bridge, they look historic, but the amount of historic that's left on is pretty minimal. Because over time, the road commission would go out, like in the 70s, historic wasn't that big a deal. So if you had a failed member, you just take it off and replace it with modern steel. Well, they did that on those two bridges. Bell Road, they didn't. Bell Road, they pretty much left it be. And so the road commission hired a contractor and lifted the bridge off of its foundations in 1997. I remember because that was the year I started full-time with the road commission. So they lifted it off, because the old stone abutments were failing. Rocks were coming out and falling into the river, and the bridge, like one corner wasn't sitting on it. It was just up in the air. So the bridge was on basically like 3 feet, and the fourth foot was just up in the air. So they hired a contractor. Yeah, you've been closed. Yes, the thing was closed. And so thank you. That's a good point, Kenny. And so the contractor lifted the bridge off. And I remember the commissioners, make that kid videotape it. So I'm a kid. And I had one of those old video cameras, VHS tape in it. And I'm taping the bridge and taping the commissioners. So they lifted the bridge off. And then they set it up on the approach on the Huron River Drive side. And it just sat, and that was it. And then it just sat, and trees grew up through it, and like you almost couldn't see the bridge anymore. It had been so overgrown. And then back in like I'll say 2018, 2017, the road commission started to talk to parks about, hey, you guys are talking about doing this improvement along Dexter Chelsea Road. Looks like you might need a bridge to get into town. So ultimately, the Parks and the Road Commission entered into an agreement. A contractor came out, their name's Bach Ornamental, and Bach specializes in like historic bridges. They came out, they cut the trees down to get at the bridge, and then they took the bridge apart. And they had to mark everything so they know how to put the erector set back together. So they went through and they marked everything and took it all apart and hauled it to, I don't remember where the warehouse was, but they put it in storage and basically said, okay, Parks, when you're ready to add the bridge, let us know. And we'll have to put it all back together.
They'll restore it.
Yeah.
And then put it back together, and ultimately that. We sold the bridge for $1. I think I'm still waiting for $1.
I think it was $1. Yeah.
But it's, when you buy a historic bridge, you're buying. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a really neat project. I give a lot of credit to County Parks and taking that on. It's gonna be a nice feature for that. So more to go on that, County Parks. So. Yeah. You have the last question, or do you have one? Okay, no problem. Yeah, go ahead.
This is concerning safety and roundabout.
Sure.
I noticed one time in Brighton, there's a roundabout, and they said, there's some signal. And I think it would be really wise to have people use their turn signals when they're crossing in front of people who are going to be.
Yeah.
Like if the road commission would put in.
We did, at one time we had signs, well, what we found, ultimately, there's no requirement to use. It's
Well,
taught
I
in,
understand that.
by the law.
There's traffic.
Understood, it's a good indicator, I think, as we talk as drivers, I think that's a very good thing to do. I use my turn signals to help indicate like, hey, I'm going all the way around, pay attention, please. I think that's something that we can certainly advocate. As a road commission, we're very regular. So if it's in the law, then it makes it way to the roadway. Ultimately, the state of Michigan and the country for that matter, adopts a uniform traffic control so that when we go from essentially Washington County to Oakland County or the state of Michigan to Ohio, everything looks and feels the same, similar. So we abide by that, and if you start deviating, that's where you get, it's a slippery slope out there. We don't, a lot of our signs are regulatory or warning, so that sign to do turn signals is not in our uniform traffic control budget as of yet. But I agree with you that I think it's good practice. Even in driver's ed, their signals, but you're never gonna get a ticket for not using it.
Well, yeah.
Right, it's not in the law.
So is this in the township or in the city?
This is township, actually,
Okay, then-
style. This is style, the other project is
Oh,
Webster.
so never.
So this is style, the other project is Webster. It's a unique little spot, where the townships come together. So this is Webster. And
No, that's Dexter.
Oh, is that
Dexter.
Sorry.
Yeah, because that is sile.
West used to be Webster, I'm sorry.
The corner's weird here. So this is sile. So like the city limits essentially end right at the bridge. After we built the bridge, we said to the city, hey, why don't you take the bridge? And they're like, no, we ain't interested. No, it's a new bridge. It's a good
Well,
bridge.
the other part is,
No.
this got annexed. So now the city limits are.
You got this.
So we're trying
This
to
is
convince them
city.
to take this once we get off.
So, yeah, but this would be Sile and this would be Dexter. That is in Dexter Township. Yeah.
Yeah, I misspoke.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that you might be able to address the township, but if it's silent, then well.
So, we try and work with everybody. So, any other questions?
I just have a kind of a weird question. A lot of cars come Dexter Pinckney through the viaduct. Do you have a number?
Oh, the average daily traffic, we would have a number, I don't remember what it is.
So when we do these projects, we not only look at the average daily traffic, for volume, but we also look at turning. So we'll be out there doing turning counts during the AM and PM, so that we have a very good idea, and then we're setting it up to accommodate whatever.
I just was curious. I knew it was a
Yeah,
big
it's a
number.
big number. But if you send me an email, my card in the back.
I was just curious.
Anything else?
I have one more question, and it's more of the light that comes off of Island Lake Road today. And Island Lake and Dexter Pinckney.
Yeah.
Very off, I come down Island Lake Road.
Yeah.
I will sit there through 10 lights and Dexter Pinckney just keeps going, there's no.
Oh,
That's-
okay.
Are they adjusting that?
So there should be sensors in the road, so really, what we're trying to do, when we do modernize signals. So there'll be little orange, we call them pucks, we call it a puck. It's basically a sensor, and I don't know if this one's got pucks, because they changed the technology.
The one that's out there today, I don't remember if it's got pucks. This one
This
will
one
have
will.
pucks.
So
Super frustrating.
it sets,
Yeah.
it sets it up.
There's no traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sets it up, and when you do get those, let us know, because there may be something that's not working properly, and we can do an adjustment.
And you did let us know you told us, so I'll say
Yeah.
something to.
This is the guy to tell, he knows his thing.
You told us, so I'll say something. to
But
say.
if, outside of this meeting, if something's happening, we have, our website, WCRC.org, right on there, report the issue, and then, oh, my cell phone, oh, here it is. So, we have an app, everybody's got an app, right? So, it's called WCRC Fix It, looking for it. And you can see it, WCRC Fix It, you literally can report an issue right there. It also has links to our website, it works on Android and Apple. You can take a picture of something, a pothole or whatever, and send us in. It will geolocate you as well, and it will send it to the appropriate member depending on the type of request. So if it's a pothole, it's gonna go to the district foreman. If it's a signal request, it's a signal maintenance supervisor. So encourage you to use that, outside of this meeting. So, or just call.
I was gonna ask you, Denise, if you had a question. What's your question? Yeah.
But will this affect how early you have to wake up to get on the bus?
Yes, that is a good possibility. Yes, absolutely. Because it's gonna, at the end of the school year, Chase, yes, it's going to affect the bus route at the end of the.
We call it, short-term pain for long-term relief.
Yeah. And we do think about, when we talk to the schools about, do you want us to hit on the end of this school year or on the front of the next? Here, my concern, I push for hitting them at the end of the current school year. I feel better about starting in May. Because if you start it when Dexter goes late, like, because they don't start till after Labor Day. So that means if we were gonna say, okay, we won't close this until after Dexter gets out, you're talking middle of June. And then you're pushing it into September, and September is usually a pretty good construction month, but then you hit October. October generally is not a good road construction month, like in October, we're yelling at the contractor saying you have to finish this because the weather's gonna turn. So I was like, no, we just have to hit them on the back end of this school year. So it's not great, Chase, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
So,
especially if you go to high school, it's gonna be a lot more. And there's a lot of things that occurring in high school before school starts in August, that wouldn't be impacted.
Yeah, they get into like
All
football
fall
practice,
sports.
yeah, you know, yeah.
Yep, so it'll be tough. Tough first summer. Then the next summer too, and then maybe we'll be done.
Well, and we do, and it's a short-term inconvenience for a long-term benefit. And I mean, again, yes, it's gonna be ugly, but it's ugly for like May, June, July, August, so 4 months. And then we aren't gonna come back again until we have to resurface the asphalt. And that asphalt, usually you're looking at like 15 to 20 years before we're coming back. So-
Oh, yeah.
We could chip seal, that's right. No, you're right, we could. Now, that's generally not a huge impact to traffic, you know, they flag during chip seal. But yeah, we would be back to chip seal. We built the bridge, again, that was like 19 years ago now. The bridge, we've come back
sealed the
once,
deck.
and we sealed the deck, that was just 2 years ago, I think, we sealed the deck, so, yeah.
Yeah, it's important, much like your house, you need to continue to do the maintenance. Can't let the roof go until the very end, right? You don't want water coming into the house, so it's important to come back, or if you've got a deck, to seal the deck every year. You don't want to reconstruct the deck, so that's extending the service life of that asset is part of what we do, because we do get very fun. And there's never enough money, so we want to make sure we're using it very wisely. And a lot of people are saying, well, why don't you fix this improvement? Why are you doing that? Well, if you did the worst first approach, we would run out of money so fast. So we try and attack some of the poorer condition roads, each year, but really we're looking at the fair and good conditions, really putting money into them, because it's kind of like oil changes on the car. You want to do your oil changes, low cost, or lower cost to maintain it. If you don't do it, you're going to replace an engine. And the engine costs the value of the car, right? And so we're trying to really do those low and lesser expensive items to extend the service life. That's my soapbox.
All right.
Thank you. I think I want to say thank you for the territorial. Because
Oh,
that made a huge difference.
That was a big statement.
Especially pricing it, so
Yeah.
there's not, I mean, I just would joke, I would just laugh about the solution to the water over the road being putting up a sign. I know that. I mean, I drive, get icy. Just terrified. So I thank you for doing that. That's
Thank you.
my life.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. It was a complicated job when you're cutting that many feet off the road and then raising the other line. It was. Oh. Well, thanks for coming out. We're trying to
Next month is fire safety.
Thank
Chief Arnold.
All right, you can finish your.